What's going on, everybody? So, tonight we are going to be talking about quite a few things, the Sony A80L and the LG C3, and we're going to be basically talking about, which one of the two, if any, are maybe an MP or MVP this year. So, thank you all for stopping by tonight. Hope you guys bring some awesome questions and we have a good time. So shout out to Kimar. Thanks for stopping in and being one of the first people in. You said, "What's up, Q?" I responded to that one. You're looking forward to it and you're working. So thanks for all you guys as well that are watching the stream as you're working or kind of going through life or whatever. Really nice to have you guys here. All right. So what about the new A95 LED or the 95 series LED? Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff for sure. I think in short, I mean, if I'm being honest, as far as like LED TVs in general, I don't really have a whole lot of optimism for them because they don't hold the same prestige back as they did like in 2018 or something like that, right? When full array local dimming was like a big deal and everybody was excited for it and things like that. And now it's just like OLEDs are so affordable. They're actually cheaper in a lot of cases than the full array local dimming or mini LED, counterparts. It kind of makes no point or no sense really these days to go with an LED TV at the prices that they're at with the bigger brands. Like, you look at a Sony X95L, and the thing is way, way overpriced for what it is because you're still going to have some sort of blooming, obviously. And so you look at the OLED prices, and then you're kind of looking at it like, should I be buying something that I'll have potentially more issues with in certain areas or not? So it really just becomes like this really awkward dance for sure. So I think I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into it. That's what I would say there. Um, Brandon, what's going on, man? You said sup Q, hope you good. Yeah, man. I mean, one breath at a time, one day at a time. I mean, to say I'm good would be a lie. I mean, everybody, you guys already know what it is. I mean, I'm very transparent, right? Like, and I love it. I always lose some people with it, right? Like, people will start unsubscribing. They're like, I didn't come here for this. I only came for tech stuff, which, okay, I totally understand. I get you, but like, I'm still a human being and I'm going through a rough time. So I'm not going to sit up here and be a jester for people. Like, I'm going through some shit, right? So I always put that out there and I'm very honest about it because obviously it's going to affect my work. It's going to affect the way I present myself. And if I'm off and you don't know why I'm off, it just doesn't work. So I'm always trying to be a human being with you guys. Even if it makes me look, I don't know, weak or whatever the case, I really don't care about stuff like that. Honestly, I just feel like honesty is like my policy with stuff like that. So just kind of putting it out there and just being what I am, a human being. But for the most part, man, I mean, no, I'm not really good, but I mean, what choice do I have? I mean, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, so you just got to keep going, right? And that's kind of what we're doing here, man. We just keep doing what we have to, I guess. I like the X95 85 inch. Yeah, I never really liked the X95 series. It's not really been very. I mean, it's hard because it's like the 950G was like the only good 95 series. Technically, it's the 950 or 950 series, but it's still like, I don't know, man. I feel like they really could have done a lot more than what they're doing. I am pretty disappointed to see like Sony's big move is like, hey, we're basically just gonna keep saying cognitive processor every year and Triluminous Pro or Max, and that's our big move. It's kind of disappointing. I mean, I've got the A80L here, so obviously I'll dissect it and see if maybe there's something different because it's hard. It's a lot like firmware with new TVs. They don't always advertise every new feature or every new change that they've made to the television, so that's kind of like an Easter egg for you to find. So that's kind of what I'll be doing. I'll be trying to see, like, what is different. Did anything change at all? Did they program the TV differently to handle motion better or HDR better or any aspect of picture quality that we look for? And just kind of go down the checklist of things that I know to look for and say, hey, is this where it needs to be, kind of thing, and then kind of report back to you guys and let you know. But so far, we're in the unboxing phase, so I expect tomorrow it'll be kind of like ground running, right? We're just going to be analyzing stuff, doing what we can do, things like that. Um, we've got hello, what's going on? Osama Hatar. I hope I said your name right. What's going on, man? Hi Quantum, which TV has the better HDR, the Sony A80L or the LG C3? So it's funny you asked that because I just briefly looked at HDR through YouTube, but it was through the built-in app. It wasn't through any other means, so I can't really say. What I can say is it probably was more or less the C3 that would have the stronger HDR, the better highlights, things like that. At least from what I was seeing, the Sony does not appear to be the best for HDR. Now, I've got to obviously make settings and adjust and see if it can go farther or higher. But out of the box, like, there was almost no real potential, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to have to really sit with it and see what I can do. But that's, for a later time period. We've got how are you doing, Q? Same as before, I suppose. Just hanging in there. The Christian Conservative, what's going on? You said going 19 on the red gain on firmware 1420. You said, can I get away with it? Well, it depends on obviously panel variants and things like that. If obviously your panel is a little bit more green, because I know like that batch that was kind of like the first batch of 1310 firmwares, super green, like very difficult to get that green out on like a broad scale. But I think for the most part, you can try it. I think 19 is a bit aggressive, but it really, I mean, it's hard to say because I've had like the 65 inch, for example, the S95B that I had before that I got rid of was just way too green. I mean, you could crank it to like red gain 25 before seeing any tangible difference because of just how green it was. It could have been a defect of some sort, maybe, but it didn't present itself until after the firmware update to 1420, and that's where I had the problem. So I mean, if it's something very similar to that, where like with the 1420 firmware, they've introduced a ton of green to make it look really pukey, then you might have to be a bit more aggressive. Right now, I'm still on firmware 1310, and I'm kind of liking keeping it there just because I was going back through some of my older videos, looking at my old work. I'm always trying to like self-reflect and like see, hey, how can I improve on this, and how can we use that information to better the next settings and things like that. And I was remembering like when I was playing, Horizon Forbidden West, there was so much digitization that came after that patch that it was not even worth it. It was like the motion was just so neutered that I was like beside myself, especially comparing it to my other S95B. So I don't really think I'll probably be going to the other ones, but I think for the most part you might be able to get away with it. But let me know. Of course, I'm good for it. You can always reach out to me in the VIP community tab or members community tab. And again, it's really easy for me to find comments there. So also for members as well, you guys have questions. The best place to ask is not the comment section. I repeat, it is not the comment section. You will likely get buried, and 9 times out of 10 comments usually just get held for review for no other reason than the fact that like people troll. And so sometimes it's me holding it for review, or YouTube just ends up killing entire comment sections because they want to protect me from bullying or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those weird things that I kind of run into where sometimes I'll find an entire comment section off, and then I'll get an email. They're like, "We noticed abnormal activity on your account," and whatever. But it is what it is. But I think it's one of those things where, you know, we'll have to see and kind of get with each other to see how that works, man. Um, Quantum, I know this is off topic, but should I pick up the Hisense U8H right now, or do you think I should wait until the newer models release later this year? I think you should wait for the newer models for sure, because the U8H, I mean, I doubt between now and the time it's going to release, which I imagine if Hisense sticks to a similar schedule, they'll launch their U8H somewhere around the time frame of like August, right? And I think you're probably going to be in the same ballpark with pricing for the U8H, and it's still going to be available. They're not going to clear them all out that fast. So I think as long as you're, of course, shopping online, retail stores always clear inventory for, obviously what they can put out on the floor. But I think for the most part, you'll still be able to find a U8H at the prices they're at now. So no rush, really, is what I would say on that. I would just kind of hang tight and see what the newer ones do and go from there for sure. And of course, I can't wait to get my hands on it. As you guys know, this week I'm going to be getting my hands on the TCL QM8. that I cannot wait to see. That thing is like super hyped up. So we're gonna absolutely see if it's worth the hype. And yeah, it's we got a lot of stuff we're gonna be covering. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, I definitely would wait. Uh, things will get better for you. Just give it time. I mean, honestly speaking, in terms of like things getting better with time, I do hear that a lot. I mean, I got a lot of people that'll say, hey, all heals within time. You'll forget in time. But like the thing is, for me as a person, like I have like no ability to like allow time to heal me because I don't want to be healed, if that makes sense. Like, you don't just get out of like 11 years of a relationship and just say, okay, I'm going to get under a new body. Or, okay, I'm going to go back out into the dating world. Or, okay, I'm just going to pretend like this person doesn't exist and just completely crap on their existence. Like, that's just, I don't work that way. So for me, it's impossible to be that way because like if I'm your person and I'm loyal to you, like I'm that, right? So it's beyond difficult because on the one hand, I have to understand and respect the decision that she made for herself because that's what she needed. Okay, that's what she wanted. But now I still have to, for myself, understand like, okay, how do we wake up every day? How do we go to sleep every night? How do we, how do we move forward and stay together like as a normal person without everything falling apart? And that honestly has been the biggest challenge. Like, I mean, really, like you wouldn't believe, like even now, like I'm good on the live stream now, like I'm able to talk to you guys, but like it's just you get to a point like with as much time already that has passed with this whole situation, like you just kind of get numb and you just turn into like a person that doesn't really value life one way or another. Like I tell you right now, I couldn't care less if I live or die. Like I can get in a car accident tomorrow and I wouldn't care. Like that's where my mindset's at like right now. I don't care about any of this shit, dude. Like I'm just going through the motions 1,000,000%. And I'll probably be this way for years. But it is what it is. Like I really just don't care. So as far as time healing, I mean, I'll let go and let God because like God's the only one that knows what his plan was and why he allowed all this to happen. But as far as me and what I'm doing, like I'm just gonna kind of just sit back and watch his masterpiece unfold, I guess, because God only knows what the plan was for this. Because it's beside me entirely. So gotta admit when you're outclassed and you can't win at certain things, and life is one of them for me. So I just give up. Um, what we got? Oh, if trolling, you're gone. That's gone. Oh, a moderator handled it. I don't know who the moderator is that handled it, but cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, bro. We got another troll. That one's gone. What is it? Oh, you're here to talk about my live stream being dead. My 28 people on a live stream and I have 80,000 subs. Why is this a thing? Like I've seen this a lot with trolls. They're like, you don't have the exact number of your following watching you at all times. That nobody does. I mean, you watch HDTV Test. He doesn't have 500,000 views on every video. I mean, there's gonna be fall off, guys. Like, I mean, it's people bookmark it. That's what subscriptions are. Like, you help them, oh wow, that was helpful. They bookmark you with the subscription, so they'll come back to you later as they maybe need to when they buy a TV or whatever. You think everybody right now that like has ever subscribed is in the market for a TV as of like June 2nd? We're not even in Black Friday season. Like this, we're out of season, right? So no, everybody's not gonna flock and watch the channel. Like that's just not how it works. Like there are seasons to the shit. But again, it's always rich to watch people try to like say, "Oh, you don't have the YouTube success I think you should have." It's like, dude, I'm good where I'm at. I got 47 people hanging out with me, and we're just gonna do our thing. So, you know what? Have your fun being a troll, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Hey Q, my G2 had a panel issue, and LG wanted to make me pay. Of course they did, right? To take it off the wall. I'm like, this TV is only mountable. Why should I pay for taking down a defective TV? Only had it for 3 months after release. Yeah, that's pretty garbage. I find more often than not that like manufacturers, and that's why again, I know it sounds cliche and weird, but like never buy a TV that doesn't have a stand because things kind of go wrong like that. And my big thing is if they don't want to include the stand in the box, I don't want to give them my money because case in point, now they want you to pay to take it off the wall. They're not trying to do anything for you and they're kind of strong arming you, but their crap conked out on you. It's like You only had it 3 months. They should totally step in and be like, yeah, we messed this one up. But that's the thing. Like, I don't ever really like to put myself at a manufacturer's mercy. Like, that's why I like tabletopping and things like that. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on it. Wall mounting is obviously way cleaner and you can get some really cool modern looks, but wall mounting does come with a lot of hassle, if you will. It's a lot that can go wrong, and I don't like it. I've learned not to like it really. But that's just my preference with it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't even know what angle you could take to be like, hey, you guys have got to kind of pull your weight on this one. Because, I mean, if they throw their hands in the air, there's not really much we can do, right? Craig, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping by tonight. What is this person still coming back to the channel for? Didn't I just like literally block this account? Yeah, the user's blocked, so I guess it's just old messages then? Whatever. I'll just get rid of it again. All right, moving on. Grandmaster Yoda, what's going on, man? You said, I wish Samsung killed the menu system. It's so crap. Yeah, I think it's about time that they, at the very least, came out with like a brand new UI, at the least, like with a better chipset at that, so it doesn't lag and glitch. That definitely needs to happen. But what do we know? We're only the people using their devices, right? If I went aggressive on the red gain, what exactly would happen? Would I get more pop on the color on the S95B? Not necessarily. So, I mean, like, you really, with that particular method, only want to use the red gain in a way of balancing out an overabundance of green. And when I mean overabundance of green, I mean like it's just damn near undefeatable. Like you can do whatever you want and it's still going to look like everybody has jaundice. Like that's why you would want to use something like that. Especially on a very aggressive level because it's definitely, I mean, you're going to find like, white start turning pink if you go too aggressive on the red gain. You don't want to do that. So that's something that you have to kind of avoid because that's what will end up happening. Uh how's that tint holding up? I don't I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's supposed to be an expression, a troll, or something else. I don't know. Some people have nothing better to do than to hate. Be positive and good things might happen to you. Yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of the only way to be, I suppose, in some areas. Review Tech USA watching leeching off your content right now, bro. I really don't care. Um, Quantum TV, hey dude, what do you think about Review Tech? I don't care about Review Tech. This is kind of like what I'm always talking about, right? Like you guys know that the charges were dropped, right? Like people can make allegations all day every day. But if the charges are dropped, it A has nothing to do with you and B is the part where you kind of shut the hell up and move on with your life. It's just really annoying at this point because it's like all they're doing is just coming here to be annoying, but I guess. I mean, if you're that bored, I don't know, go touch grass or something. What else? Come on, man. Review Tech called you out on lies. Nobody cares about perceived lies from a pothead. I mean, really, like, is this all you guys can do? Next. This is just block central. I'm not even gonna waste time on it. All right. Block. Move on. Next person. I'm done with LG. Yeah, I kind of would be too if I bought a TV and then it just kind of like conked out after 3 months and they were like, well, you're going to pay us to take it off the wall. I'd be like, all right, bro, I'll buy somebody else's brand. Something more reliable. How about that? For sure. These trolls, man, shake my head. You're obviously their idol. Keep doing what you're doing, Q. It's through your channel. I'm a proud owner of the S95B and U8H. Yeah, man. Two of the best TVs right now, honestly. I mean, you got the best OLED and you've got the best LED. So, frankly, that's going to hold for a while. And, I mean, honestly, that S95B is, like, disgustingly slept on for the price. I think, bro, like, I think anybody, like, straight up that, like, wants an OLED and doesn't buy the S95B at its current price points, like, what are you doing? Like seriously, like there almost is no reason not to. You have all four ports, HDMI 2.1. You've got pretty much every feature but Dolby Vision, of course. But the thing is, it makes up for it in a lot of other ways. Like the internal speakers are just phenomenal for the size of the thing. It's paper thin, and you've got these nice really rich speakers. It's really good. And of course, the picture quality, which that's where we kind of round the whole thing out. Like, I don't care what kind of LG OLED you have, you will not get the same level of luminosity and vibrancy that you're getting on a QD-OLED. It's just not happening. And I think the lack of desire to kind of talk about that is really what kind of gets sad, I guess, for consumers that could benefit from like mass market adoption. Like, could you imagine if like every WOLED right now was replaced with QD-OLED? I'm telling you right now, if LG goes QD-OLED, it's game over for everybody. And I mean that, dude. Like, goodbye Sony, goodbye Samsung, goodbye Hisense, goodbye TCL. Like, LG will absolutely own everybody because they already have really good highlight placement. They know where to put highlights. They're really good about motion. And their user interface is pretty easy to use. It's not sluggish or slow like Samsung and Sony. So, I mean, like, at some point, you're kind of just taking a win. And then they got G-Sync, they got FreeSync, they got, every feature you could possibly need. The only thing they need to work on at this point, clearly, is their customer service. Because, I mean, what our boy Kimar is going through here, that is just not it at all. But I still think that a QD-OLED for LG would be, like, absolutely massive for sure. Best TV with authentic brown, LG C3 or Samsung. Wait, authentic brown. I don't know what authentic brown is. LG or Samsung with the brown. Give me the. Oh, it's just a troll. I'm trying to figure out how many, like how dedicated do you have to be to like try to word an actual question and it's just trolled. Anyway, moving on. Basketball never stops. What's going on, man? You said, hey, Quantum, do you think the C2 would be better than the C3 for PC monitor extra options? I think the C3 is definitely better than the C2 in every area, more or less, but the speakers. The speakers definitely got a little worse. They're a little tinny. But I would say that it's definitely worth looking into a little bit more for sure. We've got S95B, LG G3, and S95C. I want to watch films. Surely any of these TVs would be excellent or an excellent choice when it comes down to price or Dolby Vision. I mean, if you watch Dolby Vision content, the only one on the list that'll work would be the LG G3. Otherwise, I would say try the S95B first. If you don't get like 1420 or 1430 on the firmware, then just leave it where it's at and then you should be good. Because the price point of the S95C is a bit pricey and the build quality took a downgrade. So the S95B has the nice metal backing, it's premiumly built, where the S95C is cheaply made, it's got more plastic elements to it, it's just not as nice. And the One Connect box is just weird. I don't know what their goal was with the One Connect box, how it's like thick wires and all that stuff. Like, it honestly just doesn't make as much sense as it should make. But, I think it's still good for what it is. Hi from KY. I'm imagining that is Kentucky, right? It's been a minute. What's your thought on the TCLs? I haven't really compared them just yet, so that's coming later on. We're actually doing that this upcoming week where we're going to be comparing the TCL QM8 and things like that. So I'll let you know how they perform. And of course, remembering what Samsung was all about and things like that. That's what we'll obviously let you know. Your thoughts on reviewing, or your thoughts before reviewing, which TV will be better, the U8K or the QM8? Oh, dude, you're setting me up here. This is one of those moments where I can potentially eat my words, but it's fine. I think realistically, here's what I think will play out. I think TCL will have the better motion than Hisense. I think Hisense will continue to go down the path of like not listening to critiques about motion needing to be fixed. I think in terms of like banding and posterization, both will have equal levels of issues with that. TCL definitely will have some banding issues. I think in terms of black levels, TCL will have just as good black levels as Hisense. They didn't really have any issues with the last generation of televisions. Brightness will be pretty similar, but Hisense will likely pull ahead in that regard. Then it will kind of come down to processing, where it really is anybody's game. I think there's a slight edge to TCL, though, because they do tend to get a little bit sharper than what I've seen on Hisense. At the same time, though, out of the box calibration and colors will immediately go to Hisense because, I mean, if we're going off of what they have been doing, TCL is just way too damn green. I don't know what their thought process is with that, but everybody's rocking jaundice, and it doesn't look good. And that's, of course, in your movie mode and things like that. Every manufacturer in every other mode thinks that all you want to see is an overly blue picture, and everybody looks like they're dead or they're freezing in the, Arctic tundra or something like that, like frozen tundra or whatever. So I can't really say for sure, obviously, how they'll go tit for tat, but if experience is any outlier, that is probably what we're looking at. So that's what I would say there. Will the new settings you have be coming out be compatible with different firmware, and will you be offering adjustments? Yeah, so anytime I do a firmware, the biggest thing that you can do is, of course, give me feedback, let me know how it works if I'm not on the same firmware. I know you're pretty good about that. Other people also as well. Like if there's like something that you need adjusted per your firmware that you're noticing that I'm not on that firmware and there's something different, just let me know. Say, hey, I'm noticing this is looking a little bit more towards that way. I would like a little bit more in the picture this kind of way, and then I'll make the adjustments as I need to see if that's something that can fall in line with the particulars of your firmware version. As far as are they going to be compatible with different versions of firmware, I can't speak for future firmware versions. I really don't know what Samsung's going to do next. And I've kind of gone offline with it, but yeah, I mean, as always, you guys will be taken care of, and hopefully we don't have to arrive at that road. Hopefully, like this kind of will knock it out of the park. I'm trying to create more of a general template, if you will, for something that can be applied and then adjusted from there if need be based off of certain parameters for specificity. But at the end of the day, it really just depends on you guys, really, and what your TVs are looking like. So let's go to LG C1, still going strong. C1's a wonderful television. Let's see. Hi Q, is Sony processing really that good, or is LG just as good? I think Sony's processing is really excellent in pieces. So Sony doesn't give the whole experience. And so that's kind of where LG comes in. And what I mean by that is like the cognitive processor by itself, things get really sharp and they look really good. It separates colors very well. So the way colors are rendered on things like complex leaves, right, where you'll have like maybe a fall leaf and it gradates from like maybe a sunburst orange all the way to like almost a yellowish color. Sony does really good at separating colors or reproducing colors. Very great. But where they kind of taper off is when you get to other areas like motion processing. They don't really do the best with that. LG is still the strongest in that particular area. And then as of late, I have seen a trend with Sony in some instances where it just kind of doesn't give the same level of luminosity, or almost like making SDR look a lot like HDR like they used to on their older sets as far as processing. So it feels a little bit more dated and it doesn't look as good as it used to look in some areas. Like I remember the Sony A8G, fantastic TV, excellent contrast. Like it still hasn't been matched in terms of an SDR, what they produce on the three-dimensional scale, how it really draws you in. Problem is, it's not as bright as some of the newer ones, but it's still very, very good. And I think that's really the difference there as far as processing goes. But that's just, I guess, one aspect of it, though. More trolling, so you get blocked. Moving on to somebody of relevance. Another troll blocked. Next. Blocked. Next. And so I have a question about my Samsung, and it's just a troll, so we're gonna block and move on. And we're blocking and moving on to the next question. And okay, so which one would you choose? The QM8 S90C G2 or A90J that's on sale? Well, I think I'd have to see all of them, but if I'm going off of what I know, right, the A90J is immediately out. The motion is way too terrible, even though the picture is downright gorgeous. It just is not worth it, right? So that one scratched off. The G2 is fantastic. I did a review on that one. That's one of the better TVs I've seen for motion. So that's like at the very top of the list. the S90C has diluted color compared to the S95B. It's almost like a poor man's QD-OLED. So you don't really want to buy that one. You want to buy the S95B over the S90C all day, every day. Then there's the QM8. That's a wild card. I got that coming this week, so we're going to check that out and see how that kind of plays out. But it's anybody's ball game from there. Personally, if I had to pick one, I probably would start with the G2 and then from there go to the QM8. That'd probably be what I would try. But it's, again, anybody's guess as to how these TVs will actually fare. They need to put yes, they do need to put the firmware on the box. That would save so much trouble, I'm telling you. It really would. But I don't think that they want to put the firmware on the box because then people probably wouldn't buy it. So it is what it is. Hey, Quantum, how do you clean the S95B screen? The easiest way is with a microfiber cloth and some water. That'll usually clean most fingerprints off. What do you think about the Hisense UX only being 85 inches and costing $5,000? I think it's overpriced for what it is. I think it's still LED technology. LED technology is truly nothing new, so I don't really see a point in it all. I think, yeah, it'll be impressive, but you're still giving up viewing angles, and at the end of the day, it's not going to give you pixel level illumination, so the contrast and sharpness isn't going to be as tight as what we would have on something like a QD-OLED. So again, especially with the massive price difference, obviously you're giving up a fair bit of size on the QD-OLEDs versus, the what is it, the UX, but I don't know, man. It really just does depend. I still wouldn't pay $5,000 for it though. Now, it could be like the best LED you've ever seen for black levels, but then there's another problem. Hisense hasn't really come up with an answer for like cognitive processing, like, the cognitive processor that Sony has, or like Samsung with their real 3D and their real depth enhancing technology that they put inside of their QD-OLEDs and other TVs. So it's going to be a problem where they have to play catch up a lot. And again, like playing catch up with LG and their AI processor. Like there's a lot of catching up to do in that regard, especially with gradients and things like that, posterization. They've got to fix those things for sure. So it is what it is. All right, so now we've got more questions, more trolling. Of course, we're just going to ban all the trolls and move on. What's going on, Bill? So thanks for stopping by tonight. And we're going to just block more people and move on. And so I have been hearing that they fixed motion and they raised the brightness on 1430 on the S95B firmware. What do you think? I mean, I don't really trust Samsung with firmware, not one bit. They haven't had the best track record, so I think anything that they could do would probably just be, I don't know, a half effort at best. P.S. New member, what's going on? So, thanks for being a new member. You want settings? Settings are going to be in the settings playlist for the various TVs, so we basically have them categorized by model, so you go the Sony's, Samsung's, whatever you want, or just reach out to me and, I'll help you out however you need. But thanks for joining the VIP family, man. Bill, you said, wish I had my Sony OS speed merged with my S546 screen. Yeah, I think that would probably be a little bit better, but I don't know. Hopefully we can get feedback to Sony and they start fixing a lot of the problems that they have with their UI. I think that's everybody though. Like I haven't really found, like maybe like besides LG, like their UI is pretty fluid and snappy. I don't really have a lot of problems with it. I feel like everybody else though, they got to work on that UI because it's a bit slow from time to time. I just got the S95B yesterday and accidentally allowed it to update to firmware 1430. Can it be rolled back or am I out of luck? Unfortunately, there's no way to roll back firmware once you update it. So it's just kind of like a one and done kind of thing. Hey Quantum, what do you think is the biggest thing the A95L needs to improve on the A95K? It's a really good question. So when I was reviewing the Sony A90K or A90, yeah, the A95K, the problem that I found was motion was just way too smeary. You'd watch things like Spider-Man, No Way Home, it would just be a mess, just like a total mess when you use motion processing. Now, the key word here is when you use motion processing. I'm not talking about what all the other guys are doing on their channels, how they turn it off and pretend like that feature was never put in the TV. When you use what you pay for on processing features, you'll see the mess, and it's terrible. It didn't used to be like that with Sony. They used to be masters of off or on. And now it's just you have to turn it off and don't even use it because there's no point. But I think that's the biggest thing that they'd have to improve on. Now, the other thing is how aggressive their dimming was. So I think when you get to really bright highlights and it's a really challenging scene, that over dimming was just way too much. I remember watching One Piece, I think it was episode like 1017 or something like that. It was way better on the S95B, and I would just watch this very noticeable dimming happening on the Sony A95K to the point where I was just like, okay, there's kind of no point in watching it on the Sony because the Samsung is really not only grabbing my eye, but making me feel like I'm watching more of what I came here for with QD-OLED. And then, of course, there's the other aspect of making sure that they improve on, and I know this isn't going to happen, the HDMI 2.1 issue. It's been an issue for years. We've all been talking about it. They need to stop with like, oh, we only support port 3 and 4. It's like you need to support all the ports. Like, that's not a hard thing to do. Just give the extra 2 ports and stop being cheap. You're Sony. Like, I don't understand it. Make sure, obviously, their stand can be used on more than just a wide tabletop position. Put a sound bar underneath it if you want to do that. That's something that they did do this year. But those are the things that I think it would have to do. Otherwise, I don't really think there'd be much of a point. I'm here to support you. Really respect your TV technology. I appreciate it. We've got more trolling. I mean, honestly, bro, like it's kind of hilarious to watch how like all these losers have like nothing better to do than to come every day and just harass me. And I think the big thing here is though, it's like you can do that, but like let me explain something to all you losers that like literally like are spending time on me. One, my channel's still up. Two, it's still monetized. I know that really bugs you guys. And three, like trolling all day, saying all the crap in the world that you want isn't gonna really do anything because guess what? I just block you. You physically wasted your energy typing something. I don't even read. I skim for like the last couple of sentences. I see what you're writing. You're gone. I won't even waste the time to give you the time of day. So now you're investing in me. You're going out of your way to find me. And I just block your shit and move on to somebody of relevance. So at the end of the day, have fun, but it ain't going to get you very far. Now, is there a way or any way to solve the dimming issues with the S95B? I noticed with cutscenes on games, it gets dim. I haven't really had any issues with dimming outside of like when I'm watching something like, not really watching or playing something. Like, for example, I'll be playing like a wrestling game. The ring is white and it's static and it sits there for a while. Then I'll notice some dimming and I'll have to kind of switch up. The only way I know to kind of defeat dimming, and this is for all OLEDs that I've noticed, just pull up the menu real quick and then close it back out. It's kind of inconvenient, but it solves that problem. So if you ever run into like some intermittent dimming, that would be the best tip that I have for you. Thank you for your suggestion, Q. You said suggestions, Q. You said Best Buy has the G2 for $19.99, had the C2, but received the blue vertical line after 82 hours of usage. Should I try LG again? I know you said the G2, but the C3 is nice. I mean, honestly, I would still go for the G2 over the C3. That would be my top pick for sure. Like the G2 has a really good handle on the color red, but so does the C3. So the one thing that the C3 really improved on was the red this year. But I think that's kind of a moot point when you look at the motion that's going to come from the G2. And it's not like the C3 is like blowing away anything that the G2 could do. My only problem with the G2 is, again, it doesn't come with a stand, so you have to pay like $150, $160 or whatever it was for a tabletop stand if that's how you're watching TV. Otherwise, you have to wall mount it. So, that's the only other downside. And I think if it came down to that, then yeah, go for the C3 for sure, because you win either way. And if it ends up being like a price difference thing where like the G2 is just way more money than the C3, then just go with the C3. That's how I would do it for sure. Let's report all the trolls for harassment. I mean, you can go for it. We're here to talk TVs. Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what we do. It's just a question. I don't know. Uh, oh, I see. You're just trolling. I see. I have to scroll up sometimes to catch the trolling. Anyway, moving on. Hey, how do you think the 900E motion compares to the best motion on OLEDs today? Do you still have any? I'm sorry. Do you still have the TV and any chance we might get updated settings? Yeah, unfortunately, I no longer have the Sony X900E. There's a wonderful story about that with my ex-wife, and there's a whole little personal chapter we went through there. But I won't be sharing that today. I'll just say the shortened version. No, I don't have the X900E anymore, thanks to her. I will say though that it is a good TV and it does hold up very nicely with all of the other TVs on the market right now. Yeah, bro. You said 900E, bro. That shit like gave me PTSD. I went back there and I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it? But yeah, it is what it is, man. Anyway, moving on from that. Uh, Almost sprung for the LG G2 over the S95B. Both looked fantastic. So I guess you ultimately went to the Sony or what, the S95B, or which one did you end up with? Can't wait to see upcoming reviews on the A80L Q. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a process. I'm going to check it out, see what we have. I mean, I really want to get in there and test the speakers because the one thing that I noticed when I did the acoustic calibration, it was pretty bassy for just a little tinny TV, usually from Sony. Usually, like, especially last year's model, it was just tinny. I didn't hear that much bass coming out of the lower parts of the audio registry. So that's something I definitely want to check out. So we'll see how that goes. TCL, what is it? TCL R646 or Hisense U7? TCL R646 all day, every day. Because the U7 with its IPS and all that stuff, it is what it is. It's not the best. Let's see. Can you speak on allegations? No, I'm not speaking on allegations. This isn't, I don't know what you people think this is. What do you think this is, like divorce court or something? It is what it is, bro. Anyway, moving on. Sorry to hear about your divorce, man. I've been a fan for a while. Yeah, it's unfortunate for sure, but it's not something that I chose. I mean, like, yes, ultimately, I ended up filing for a divorce, which I think that makes me like quite rare because the statistic is like 80 to 90% of the divorces filed are filed by the woman, and I'm like one of the rare instances where, as a man, I actually filed. But I mean, at that point, she had already like packed all her stuff and left, and like did a whole bunch of other crap. So it was kind of like I had no choice but to do that at this point. So it's like it is what it is, man. Life happens to all of us. I'm not immune to it, and so I'm just gonna keep going through it until whatever next happens. So yeah. If you had to rebuild your TV arsenal, what TVs would you have? Oh, you're asking a good question. I'm actually literally in that spot, all right? So, my wife literally took everything that I own, not giving a single thing back, right? So, I have to rebuild. And that literally looks like I start off like literally with zero, with nothing. The first TV that I put right back into my arsenal was the Samsung S95B. I got lucky by the grace of God, caught it on Amazon sale for $9.97, nabbed that bad boy right back up. And I think after that, then the arsenal really just depends on whatever comes out next. I wouldn't go obviously back in time and try to find something secondhand or used because you don't know, like, most times when you buy used, refurbished, like new, what is the other? Amazon loves this new word that they try to play on it. It's another play on refurbished, really. What is it? I forget what it is. You'll see it. It's very obviously like a play on refurbished. They don't want to say it, so they say something else. But anything that's not new, you want to stay away from that. And again, because you're adopting nightmares, you don't really want to adopt people's nightmares, and so I steer clear of it. And besides, the technology is getting slightly better in some areas, even if it does get worse in others. So it's kind of like every year, just kind of roll the dice and see what comes out. So like this year, huge contender for LEDs. Definitely the U8K, the QM8. Those two are looking to be the two dominant factions this year that are going to be competing with each other. I mean, I can't say if I would pick one or the other without seeing them, but I definitely would be open minded to either one. I'm not gonna lie, I like the design of the TCL QM8 way better. I always love a pedestal stand that's like super tight in the middle, so you could get away with the smallest, most garbage media console if you wanted to, and that's what I like. I like having the freedom of choice in that way, and then being able to put a sound bar underneath it as well. Super nice, gives you that nice clean look. So of course that's always what I go for. I've never been a fan of the branch style feet where it's just like from corner to corner of the screen. I've always hated that. I think that's kind of pointless. But that's just my prerogative there. But yeah, no, that's kind of what I would do. I would really wait more for QD-OLEDs. I think that's more in line with what I would be looking for. But maybe Sony surprises us this year and kind of takes feedback. I doubt it, but that's probably what I would do, brother. I picked up an S95B over the G2. The build quality seemed a little bit more sketchy, but looks nice mounted on a wall. And you said you really like how the S95B colors pop. Yeah, I mean, the build quality compared to the G2 is definitely going to be worse because it's made of lighter metal. It's not really as thick as the G2. The G2 is a thick boy meant to be mounted on a wall, where the S95B, not really so much, very thin, so you do have to be careful with it. Hell, even I ended up denting my stand a little bit because I picked it up and I bumped it against the corner of my media console, and there's just a little ding in it. Drives me crazy, but, it's purely cosmetic and it's not that bad. It's just me being a brat about it, I suppose. But the color pop on the S95B is something that's just legendary. So yeah, I definitely agree there. And you said in the S95B was super bright, which yes, it most definitely is. What do we have here? Uh, yeah, it's mostly women. Sadly, I don't know what that means. Probably trolling. Who knows? Hello, Quantum. How well do you think the S95B can handle the G3, or handle against the G3 and A95L S95C? I did a comparison on the S95C versus the S95B. Definitely check that out. That'll give you the full rundown of that one. Now, as far as Sony with the A95L, we already know out the gate that they're not supporting all four HDMI 2.1 ports. Every port is an HDMI 2.1, so you're going to have to basically only have two. So you have to pick and choose how important that is to you. The other aspect of it, though, is, Samsung doesn't have Dolby Vision. So if you're watching a lot of Dolby Vision content, then not even the S95C would work for you. Then you'd kind of be stuck with Sony or LG. So there are a couple of deciding factors that you kind of have to pick and choose based on, but I expect the S95B will do pretty well against all of these TVs. And of course, that's what we're here to test. We're going to be testing a lot of things as the time goes on, and you're going to see exactly what happens for sure. Hi Q, you said hi Q. Hope. Hold on, I can't. Hope thing going well at the moment, or I guess you mean hope things are going well at the moment. What would you say is the best TV for motion in general at the moment? I think at the moment, the G2 probably that one. It's pretty strong for motion. I'm debating on getting the G3 or S95C. I'm coming from yeah, I would go with the S95C. The G3 is nice and has excellent highlight placement. Colors are pretty sharp, pretty good. Don't have any real complaints about it. Doesn't come with a stand. That's one big complaint. But the QD-OLED pop is just legendary, and it's not something that's going to be kind of overcome very easily. So yeah. My A8H is brighter than the A80L, and it's 3 years old, LMAO. Yeah, I think that's probably indicative with the times that we're in. Now, I haven't had the chance to test the brightness of the A80L or anything like that, but we'll see what happens. You said they have gone down in brightness in the last 3 years, which we'll definitely see what happens. Renewed, yes, thank you. That's the one. Amazon loves to put like renewed. It just means refurbished. Like honestly. Um, what is it? I believe the woman comment was in regard to divorce statistics. I see, I see. So it wasn't trolling. It was just saying, yeah, it's mostly women that initiate divorce. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Woman on divorces. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I mean, mostly women kind of just say, hey, you know what? Screw this amount. And, it is what it is. I mean, we look, dude. Like, I love it. Like when some of the younger crowd comes in that don't know any better. But like for seasoned men that are either in relationships or have been in relationships that didn't end well, 9 times out of 10, if you get left by a girl, she checked out months in advance, didn't tell you, waited for her exit strategy to pan out, and then left you kind of blindsided by what the hell happened because either you didn't change enough, you didn't give her enough of what she wanted from you, and when you needed something from her, it didn't matter. And like you found yourself at a disadvantage constantly asking for the basics. It's kind of how this works. I'm not special for it. I've been talking to a ton of divorced men and a bunch of dudes in general that have gone through the same stuff, except with kids. And man, some of the stuff these guys are telling me that happens when the woman's involved with kids, they put out restraining orders. He can't see his kid anymore. Bro, like it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Like, trust me, I've been cued in now. It's a little too damn late for me, but I'm a part of the I was once married and now I'm bitter squad, I guess. I don't fucking know, but it definitely, yeah, it's mostly the girls 9 times out of 10. And the guys are always like, we're always the suckers holding out hope, like, maybe she'll come around. Maybe she'll come back. No, bro, she's gone. She doesn't care about you. She's off getting her ass slammed by some other fucking dude. She doesn't give a shit about you. You're nothing to her. You're dead to her. That's how it works. So it is what it is, man. All right, so you missed the question. If you meant to, no, just ask your question again. I didn't see your question. Let's see. Not trolling, yeah. No, I know you're not trolling now. I mean, it's hard because I only see little snippets of it, and we had like a lot of trolls that kind of come through in and out, so it is what it is. One last question. Do you know if the G2 has updated 2023 WebOS on it? It doesn't, but I think a firmware could fix that if I'm not mistaken. I mean, maybe it could fix it down the road. I'm not entirely sure. Or LG doesn't update for previous models. Sometimes they make adjustments to certain things. Like I remember for example, the C1, it was able to get like the panel care features and stuff like that with an update. I mean, updates with LG surprisingly actually update from time to time and do something nice. And in my experience, like LG, as weird as it's going to sound, is more reliable with firmware updates that I've seen than somebody like Sony or Samsung. Samsung being like number one, absolute worst of the worst, than Sony. But LG usually does a little bit better with that. Blocked. Moving on to the next person. You should sue people. I mean, I don't have any interest in suing people. I mean, whatever. What's the reason for diminishing returns with TVs today? Is it because companies are getting greedy? I think really it's the mindset of the consumer, right? Like everybody likes convenient, and we live in a very weak society. And I would just put that out there. Like people today are way softer, more sensitive than they were even 5-10 years ago, right? Everybody wants to cancel you because their feelings got hurt. Everything is, oh, that's offensive speech. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It could be like, I don't like blue unicorns, right? Like you could just say like, I don't like puppies. Oh, that's discrimination against puppies. You know, like everything is so dramatic these days. And it's to the point where that mindset trickles into products. I've seen it happen. I kid you not, where I will literally say, you know what? I don't really like that Sony has forced terms of service. This is garbage and trash, and I think they need to change that. And immediately in the comment section, they didn't even watch the whole video. They just rushed to the comment section. They're like, you're trashing Sony. All you do is hate on TV manufacturers. Terrible review. Nobody gets anything of value out of that. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. Meanwhile, the end result and verdict of that particular Sony was that I recommend it over even some of the higher end ones. And it's the Sony A80K. Meanwhile, they thought I was trashing the whole thing. So I see it happen where people get in their feelings, and manufacturers know this, right? You have white knights, useful idiots. They'll come out on videos, on publications, whatever it is, defending products. I don't know where this came from, why the layman thinks that these multi-billion-dollar companies give a damn about you, but they do. And they really take it to heart when you insult their brand. Oh, don't say anything about Balenciaga. Like, you know, these people, right? It's just ridiculous. It's to the point where it's like you can't say anything anymore. Like you say anything a toe out of line of positivity, and oh my God, you're the Antichrist. So I think that has a lot to do with the diminishing returns, because now manufacturers know we can pump out crappy goods, and the people are conditioned to only talk positively about these things and to watch bubbly YouTubers. Anything outside of that, and it'll be shamed and dog walked, or, you know, treated like the worst thing ever. So that's just kind of how it is. And so like that's why I think what I do here is so important, right? We keep it transparent. If you win, you win. I'll tell you straight up, hey, Sony, that's a win. If you lose, you lose. And I'll tell you that as well. But I think the biggest thing is people don't really know how to handle that transparency anymore in today's age. And I think that's why manufacturers are kind of, again, pumping out the same copy and paste models. We look at the last 3 years of OLEDs, look at the features on Sony, and then you kind of compare that to like 2012, 2013, 2014, and see how they were actually making improvements with every TV instead of just pumping them out for the sake of saying, hey, we made a new model. Like, you made a new model, but you gave us all the same features you had last year, so why wouldn't I just buy last year's TV? And then, of course, the immediate argument will be, oh, well, it'll be discontinued in a couple of months, so you're running out of time, so then you'll have no choice. We aren't getting new TVs anymore, I've noticed, more or less. We're just getting placeholders for the last year's models. Like, oh, we took that one off the shelf, but we replaced it with something that's like the exact same thing. There's no real point. So I think that's kind of the problem here. He said, sounds like you described exactly how my divorce went. Completely blindsided. If only I knew how that happens before getting married. Oh my God, bro. You ain't lying though. Like, dude, like how stupid I must be. Right? That's the feeling I have right now. I let this woman convince me, oh, I don't want a life if it's not with you. I love you so much. You're my whole world. I love you more than everything, more than anything. And this is after she left me, bro. She was already out of the house, okay? She left me. And that was in April, okay? I love you more than anything. Oh, I love you. I just want to come back. It's us against the world. We're together. We've got this. All that bullshit. I let her back into the house, bro. She was gone. She took our money. She was out. She had everything she wanted. She was gone for all intents and purposes to go have her fresh start. She didn't have to come back and do this shit again in May. She was already out in April and swore up and down, swore on a grave that she never should have sworn on. Oh, I'll never leave again. That was a mistake. I didn't want it. All this bullshit. It was all bullshit. Completely blindsided now, right? Me finding out that she's, pulling all this crap. It is what it is. Now, I see a troll, and I love this. I love this. Anytime a man describes what actually fucking happens in the relationship, you get told, we get shamed so much. Oh, you're out here playing the victim. No, I'm not. I'm telling you what happened. There's pieces, of course, that I won't release because I still have love. I have respect, and there are lines I'm not willing to cross. But I don't need to play victim in the life that I live that you're a third party in. That's the first thing. I mean, you're out here trying to propagate on my shit. Like, you're on my channel, right? I'm not on yours. And I'm telling you what happened in my life. Like, you'd either take it or leave it. But again, I mean, depending on how it goes, I could show text messages saying word for word exactly what I'm telling you. That's not playing victim, bro. That's how it happened. She literally left me in April, came back, right? Begging to come back. Oh, I want to be back in a relationship with you. I love you so much. All this shit. And it was a blow. It was a blow to my understanding of our relationship to watch her sit up there and like, I'm afraid of him. He coerced me into writing that. I was so fucking floored that this bitch was lying. Under oath. And I was so shocked at the lows that she was willing to go at me. You would think I cheated on her. You would think I was slapping her around. You would think something actually fucking happened. Like the level of rage that comes out of that, like to watch how you're literally trying to destroy me because you came into the relationship with emotional baggage you expected and dumped on me to deal with, and I did it for you, and you still screwed me over after the fact, is bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit to pull that on somebody. Now, that's without getting totally personal and diving into the whole fucking situation, but yeah, no, absolutely fucking blindsided, bro. Blindsided 100% by the whole thing, the lies, all of it. And then, of course, anytime you come out as a man and you say, like, I got screwed over, they go, oh, sure you did. Playing the victim, be a man, suck it up, all this shit. It's like, okay, well, you know what? If you already have your opinion made up, what the fuck you talking to me for, right? You already know how you feel about the situation, so go kick a can down the street and echo your song that you're singing to yourself. People speak to hear themselves, but they don't actually want to gain information in a conversation, I've noticed. It's always like one-sided. It's always like, hey, I told you what it was. Okay, but did you want to hear what I had to say, or did you want to just talk? Because you're not going to learn shit if you're just talking, but that's a little long tangent that I go down. I get very annoyed and passionate about it. Obviously, it's still an active thing that I go down. And again, like I said, like, bro, like, I'll just put it out there like this, okay? We were in a situation. We were at the finish line. She had a certain job that she had to do. She didn't want to do the job anymore. It was too stressful for her. And she started costing us thousands of dollars. I got angry because she started costing us thousands of dollars. And we had arguments because of that. I was like, listen, you are costing us a lot of fucking money right now. We cannot afford this right now. I'm the breadwinner. I'm taking care of the household. Just don't get in the way of that. That was the fucking conversation, right? For her to play some battered victim now as I was paying all the fucking bills, putting her up, taking her out to nice fucking places, doing everything she begged and asked me to do, showed up for her more than I ever showed up for myself, and then play like I did her wrong? Bro, lowest of the fucking low move right there. Like, but that's how she really is. She showed me her character, who she wanted to be with me. It doesn't matter anymore, right? Fine. But at the end of the day, it's always funny though to watch all the peanut gallery chime in. Oh, look at him play the victim. Look at him. Like, bitch, you don't know shit about my life. Shut the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? Go smoke your weed. Go do whatever loser shit you've been doing the whole fucking time. You're just chiming in because you're mad because you got called a name because you earned it or some other pointless reason. I know Anonymous is kicking around a can because he's mad. You don't talk badly about the military. Well, bitch, if I was in, I can say whatever the hell I want. It's like this new age is what I'm talking about, where everybody's weak. They don't like freedom of speech. You say something they don't like. That's offensive, and now I hate you. Okay, hate me, bitch. Now move on. Like, I hate you too. Are we done now? It's so annoying, and it's just life. But that's how it goes, right? So, yeah. It is what it is, but yeah, just hearing that, somebody else is kind of going through the same thing with that, it's just absolutely unfortunate, but yeah. POS hate SOE. Yeah, some people hate Soap Opera Effect. For me, I really like it. I think it's really nice. Really sorry you lost everything, man. After you just got the C3 S95C, would have been some nice comparisons. It would have been. I actually had the G3 too. I had a lot of content planned, but that kind of had to go awry because, crap happened, I suppose. As a reviewer, you should mention that you observe. I don't know what that means. Let's see. We've got, do you ever had TV making a cracking noise when it heats and cools? Yeah, dude. The S95B does it. Mine does that too. And you were saying it expands. Yeah, it's almost like there are just like a bunch of fireworks going off, little firecrackers going off in the back. And my ex-wife used to make a joke every time she'd hear it. She's like, there's little mice in the back just like punching at the TV. It would always be something like that. So yeah, it definitely has that sound to it for sure. S95C 1700, is it worth it? I mean, it's okay. That's an okay price, but it will definitely go down, and you'll regret paying $1,700 for it. I expect that television will go down to $14.99, so I wouldn't pay that much for it. I would try to find the S95B or wait for a sale. After 15 years old, what? What is this? Hold on. I gotta make sure this isn't something bad. After 15 years old, I usually felt a girl was lying to me when she said anything positive. That's kind of like a life lesson of facts right there. It took me a lot longer than 15 years to know that. I had to go through this to understand that, like, they can say it with the straightest of faces. They could tell you how much they love you. They're never going to leave you. You're their one and only. They're not interested in other guys. They would never talk behind your back or message anybody behind your back or none of that shit. They'll tell you anything and they'll do it anyway. It's just a matter of if they want to continue to pretend that they're not doing it. If they love you, they'll pretend. Otherwise, I got tired of pretending, right? That's the game they play. It's such bullshit, but it's something that you have to learn with life. So, c'est la vie. You said, sorry, Q, how long were y'all married? Married for 11 years, dude. Like, it's just trash. It's trash. Technically 10, but I mean, like, it's so, like, removed. We call it 11 because, like, we were basically married. There was no point where we weren't living together and being a couple and all that shit. And she was, like, engaged, like, pretty much instantaneously, actually. But it is what it is. Pedro, you just described, or what, you just got the S95B. I got you. Just keep strong, man. It hurts less over time. Life finds, you said, I find my life much happier now post-divorce. Well, I mean, the thing with me, like, that I'm kind of learning every day with this whole thing is like, I can't make somebody love me. I could feel however I want about the situation, good or bad. It does not matter, right? She's an adult. She knew what she was doing. She chose her path in life, and it wasn't with me. She betted on a life that was separate from the one that I could provide and was providing for her. She didn't want that. She wanted her own way. She wanted it so badly under her certain circumstances, she still chose that over me. So at the end of the day, wish you all the best. Have a blessed life. I mean, what can I say to that? You made your choice. I'm not it. Okay. All the talks beforehand, all that shit, we were going back. We were working on stuff. We were trying to move to a positive space. She didn't want to do it anymore. Fine. You know what I mean? So that kind of gives me a little bit of peace throughout the day where it's like, again, I didn't choose this. And I did exactly what I promised I was going to do. So made every sacrifice I told her I was going to make. So at the end, as a man, I know I held my end of the bargain up. Like, she can say whatever she wants publicly. She can be scornful all she wants. But at the end of the day, dude, like, at least I know my truth, right? And that's what matters. It's a process. It will take time. Yeah, most definitely. You said you hate soap opera effect. Yes, a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. It just depends. You said, thanks, bro. We'll wait a bit. Is soap opera effect to do with motion? Yeah, that's to do with motion. And yes, it does. Having motion like soap opera effect going on its highest. Yeah, I like having soap opera effect on the highest motion as well. I think it's pretty awesome. It is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, also like just some sort of side notes as well to keep in mind with the LG C3, just to kind of round out. We kind of have a few other topics. Like again, think about sizes and things like that. I know, like when we try to pick like who would be the MVP this year, or like which ones you would probably go for. You know, obviously size is a factor. Then of course you have to see how they compare to their last year's counterpart. Like for example, how much more of an improvement are they? And I'm not gonna lie, the C2 is very similar to the C3. There's an improvement in the colors a little bit, but they're pretty much the same feature set, more or less. And the same can be said about the Sony A80L. And this keeps happening. So, again, it definitely, to say diminishing returns is kind of even like a stretch. It's just kind of like nothing's really changing, right? And then, of course, Sony's direction. It is what it is, right? They're going to do what their own thing is, I guess. Hey, we want all 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. Like, that's cute. You're getting 2. And you're going to pay like $3,000 for it. Like, it's very weird. So very, very standoffish direction as far as like the HDMI ports. So you have to decide how important HDMI 2.1 ports are to you. And if they are very important, then maybe you have to make a decision with a different brand other than Sony. And that's where maybe Sony wouldn't be the MVP, regardless of what they come out with, whether it's the Sony A80L or the A95L. That's just going to be a factor regardless. Now, I am curious though with you guys to see like what features that like make you want to buy Sony, and like even through that like make you a fan of Sony. That is something I'm always curious about. So if that's something you guys could comment on this video, that would be really good. And as always, guys, just kind of like a rounding out, like you guys know, putting out content, doing what we're doing. We've got the QM8 coming. That's going to be a load of fun. I can't wait to see what that's about. But we are going to give the A80L its due diligence. I'm not just going to write it off because it's technically a replacement for last year. Again, there might be something that's new or changed in some way that I'm not seeing right now because I'm not in there. You know, I know that happened with the S95C. There was a difference in HDR, and it ends up, honestly, I think the S95C is the best HDR TV right now for OLEDs, period. Like, you're not going to find better. It was mind-blowingly good. So, little changes like that do happen, but that's not widely advertised, which, frankly, I think is poor marketing. I feel like if they came out and said, hey, we have the best HDR because we really ramped it up this year, that would have been a selling feature. But these people don't really think they need to sell anything outside of putting Samsung or Sony or LG on the box. So it's our job as reviewers to go in there and find what's actually different and then report those changes back to you, at least if you're any kind of good. Otherwise, most people just kind of market and promote and say, oh, I'll buy from my affiliate link, ooh-woo. Like, that's just like what we see. So my big thing here is, again, just look out for the content. We got a major collaboration with GoV coming up this month. A lot of new products to show you guys. Very excited for that. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a load of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. Is Sony good in other areas like headphones and soundbars? They do make good soundbars. Their headphones I'm not really a big fan of, but, you know, it is what it is. You said, please have a read. It may be a long paragraph. I didn't see a paragraph up here. I probably missed it. I didn't see it. It's probably too far up right now. I just see that you like having soap opera effect going in the highest motion, but that's all I saw, man. But at the end of the day, guys, that's pretty much more or less what we're dealing with here in the market and things like that for now. We're going to check to see, again, how the Sony's holding up and all these other TVs. If you have requests, please make sure you're leaving your requests and things like that. As you guys saw, obviously, throughout the live stream and on regular videos, regular comments, we get trolls. It happens. You know, I'm going through a divorce. It's very public, unfortunately. Would have liked to keep these kinds of things private. But again, doxers and people like that, they don't want to let you have your private moments, so they want to be all up in your shit. It is what it is. But at the end of the fucking day, you know, I mean, what can be said is what is said. It's a choice that she made. I'm just filing the paperwork at this point. You know, it's what she wanted. She moved out. She took all our stuff. She took our family pets, all our money, that kind of thing. It was very dramatic. It is what it is. It hurts. It's painful. But what the hell can I do? I mean, love is not enough, right? You can't want somebody and they don't want you back, right? And if they want to come up with bogus bullshit and try to say like, oh, we have an abusive relationship and I'm afraid of him and he has a history of abusing me and all of this crap, like literally horse crap, when they know good and damn well the real reasons why they walked away from you, like all the times that they did, they have the same text message log that you do. It's a choice that they've made, right? I'm not going to sit up here and twist anybody's arm, but at the same time, it does get annoying because it's like, I do wish people would just kind of mind their damn business, but we know why they can't because, of course, access to grind. So just kind of weather through that with me. It's going to be a while. People are just going to do what they're going to fucking do. But again, like anything with in enough time, nobody will give a shit anyway. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, keep rocking how we're rocking. So just kind of stay strong, steadfast, that kind of thing. And we're just going to vibe. That's just what we're going to do, bro. So yeah, keep it locked. All that good stuff. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Shout out to PS becoming a new member tonight and all you guys who stopped by, asked your questions. Make sure you do that again next week, 7 p.m. through 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we can make sure we're helping you guys out and giving you the know on all your tech news and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching the